me ask a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't even know. Hey, Shabbat Shalom. That's what I thought. I never call them by their last names. Okay.
Oh, and the cue sheet for tomorrow has some changes that I didn't put on their honor sheet. So, just
Cue sheet
the one that I made.
changes that are not on the.
This stuff.
Did I get that
I'll send it again though.
late today?
Yesterday.
I haven't gotten that far.
I'll send it again.
I'll find it. You don't have to worry. So I should rely on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thanks for that heads up. Okay.
So I'm not totally tired, but I'm trying to give caffeine a break. And so headaches, but just giving it a try. See if it's 6. See if it helps with like sleep.
Good luck.
Yeah, I'll try to like strum it up. There's a lot of picking tonight, but to wake you up, maybe I'll just like knock you in the
Hit me with the.
like.
Where's our family? I'm gonna go tell them we're starting.
Okay. Shabbat shalom.
Ready?
One more quick question. Did they know this? It was in Holly's music.
Yeah, we've done that sometimes for sure.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Like they won't know this,
No, that I know.
but we have done it a handful of times. Like these anniversaries and.
Yeah.
Well, friends, Shabbat Shalom. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Glad folks made it in. Good to see you. We are about to begin again, and we'll hope that as you entered into the sanctuary, you picked up one of our prayer books. The prayer book will say Mishkan Tefillah on the cover of it, and we have a couple of different versions of the same prayer book. So if you have one that is thinner, if it's a large print prayer book, you'll see 2 different page numbers. You folks will be following a page number in blue brackets. If you have a nice, thick, heavy book, then you just have one to choose, and it'll be easy to follow along. We're going to start with a prayer, a song, 643, where we say, Esa Einai El HaHarim. Let's lift up our eyes up into the mountains and find some inspiration. 643, and join along.
Esa Einai El HaHarim. Esa Einai El HaHarim. Me'ayin yavo Hezri. Me'ayin yavo Hezri. Me'ayin yavo Hezri. Me'ayin yavo Hezri. Where does my help come from? Where does my help come from? My help will come from God, maker of heaven and earth. My help will come from God, maker of heaven and earth. Now that was just warm-up because I don't hear any voices. So let's give it a try again. Esa einai el harim. Esa einai el harim. Me'ayin yavo, yavo hezri. Me'ayin yavo, yavo hezri. Me'ayin yavo, yavo hezri. Me'ayin yavo, yavo hezri. Where does my hope come from? Where does my hope come from? My help will come from God, maker of heaven and earth. My help will come from God, maker of heaven and earth. Esa einai el harim. Esa einai el harim.
Yafeh, lovely. Let's turn backwards. Page 120. The way we begin our service is with the lighting of Shabbat candles, bringing a new kind of light, a spiritual kind of light, into not just the space, but into our lives. And we have some friends that are going to come forward to help light these candles and say the blessings. So we're going to invite Andrea Elkines and Eve Bond, Zoe Mandelbaum, Perry Mandelbaum, Brenda Love. Folks, come and join us right over here. We're on page 120. Did we get everyone? All right, I'm coming, good. Somebody has to light them. There you go. Go, go, go. Good.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kirshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thanks, friends. Folks, we're going to ask you to rise if you are able. We continue on 123, and we're going to have Charlie and Evan come forward, our B'nai Mitzvah this Shabbat, and they are going to lead us in our Kiddush. Page 123. That one's for you.
Thank you.
This one's for you.
All right. Is that wine?
No.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Barei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikraya kodesh, zecher mitziat mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta ve'ertanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchinotanu. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh Shabbat.
L'chaim, take a drink.
Wait.
Good.
That's good.
Okay, you can go back to your seats. We'll call you up again in a little while. Friends, you can all be seated. Let's continue on page 134. Page 134.
זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור, בקול זמרה. 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 זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור, בקול זמרה.
138, 139, the prayer of our mystics from Tzfat, the city up in the land of Israel. They created a poet, a mystic, created this message to stir us, to wake us up, to help us have an encounter, something that is so difficult, I think, for us modern folks, postmodern folks, to actually have an encounter of some sort. So they wanted to kind of stir us and maybe open us up to something new and different. That's what this possibility could be. On 138, we continue with the first 5 stanzas. After the 5th one, we jump to the very last one, and our custom is to stand and face the open doors in the back of our sanctuary, and symbolically, we welcome the Sabbath bride into our midst.
יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה, יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקווה, יאללה לה 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 לך דודי, יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה, יאללה לה 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 פני שבת, פני שבת נקווה לה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, Adonai echad, u'shmo echad, l'shem hu tiferet, v'litchila. Yai lai lai, yala la 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 l'chadodi, yala la 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 l'ikrat kala, yala la 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 p'nei Shabbat, p'nei Shabbat nekabela. L'ikrat Shabbat, lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor הברכה מראש מקדם משוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה יאי לי לי יאללה לה 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 לך דודי יאללה לה 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 לקראת קלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת פני שבת נקבלה מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה קומי צאי מתוך חפך רב לך שבט בעמק הבכה והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה יאי לי לי יאללה לה 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 לך דודי יאללה לה 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 לקראת קלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה התנערי מהכפר קומי לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי על יד בן ישי בית הלחמי קורבה אל נפשי גאלה יאי לי לי יאללה לה 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 לך דודי יאללה לה 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 לקראת קלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה יאי לי לי יאללה לה 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 לך דודי יאללה לה 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 לקראת קלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה וצהולה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה יאי לי לי יאללה לה 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 לך דודי יאללה לה 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 לקראת קלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקבה יאללה לה 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 לך דודי יאללה לה 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 לקראת קלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת נקבלה.
Let's be seated. 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We invite you to rise if you are able. 146.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
Let's turn the page 149 at the bottom. Let's read together. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai Ha'ma'ariv Aravim, 152.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
May be seated.
אהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Let's read together again on 159. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. 158.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא תהילות, אוסף אלה נורא תהילות, אוסף אלה מלכותך ראו פניך בוקי הים לפני משה ומרים. זה לי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי בד אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מהר חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
You can hold your spots. We're going to go all the way to the back of the book. You can look on page 677 if you'd like to follow along. 677. Again, this prayer that we say only at night, that we think about the sheltering presence over us.
Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps and help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps and help me make this day a song of praise to you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps.
We go back again, 164. We'll ask you to rise if you are able. We move into the tefillah together.
Sorry. Yadadai, yadai, yadai, yadadai, yadai, yadai, yadadai, 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 Adonai Svatai Tiftach, Adonai Svatai Tiftach, Ufi Agid Tehilatecha, Ufi Agid Tehilatecha, Adonai Svatai Tiftach, Adonai Svatai Tiftach, Ufi Agid Tehilatecha, Ufi Agid Tehilatecha, Yadadai, Yadai, Yadai, Yadadai, Yadai, Yadai, Yadadai, 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 Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol atah, Rav leHoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Ve'Rofei Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, micha mocha bal gevurot, umido melech, melech meimit, umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'emanata lehachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Let's be seated. Let's turn to 177. We can read together. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, v'lecha na'eh lehodot. 178.
Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov ve'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol heit ubechol sha'a bishomecha. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Let's take some time for our own personal prayer, our own meditations. If you want to follow in the prayer book, in the Siddur, you can look at 179 through 181. Choose a reading to reflect upon, or just take some time for your own quiet. We'll come together again at the bottom of 180 in a few moments.
Ose shalom bimromav. Ose shalom bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Oh, say shalom, bimromav. Oh, say shalom, bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down.
That's what we need, is peace, to be sure. But remember, in Hebrew, the word for peace is shalom, and shalom isn't just peace where there's no fighting. Shalom is about wholeness, and that's where we move into this next prayer. For our folks who are in the midst of struggles, who are having challenges in their lives, who are facing illness, whatever it might be, we hold them in our hearts, and we lift up a prayer for wholeness and healing of body, and a healing of soul. If you have one of these little handouts in that middle panel, when you opened it up, you'll see a list of many, many names connected to our community. For our friends online, it's on the same page as where you connect to the streaming. And all the way on the right side of our little pamphlet tonight, you will see a prayer for healing. That's our prayer tonight. We invite you to join along and follow along with us, but we always share the names if you choose, and if you would like to, we encourage you just to call out the names of those that you're thinking of, someone that's in your heart who could use a little prayer and strength and hope from us. Prayer for healings in the handout.
Elna refana halanu. Elna refana halanu. Dear God of our ancestors, help us renew our faith. Grant us a perfect healing. Bring peace to all our days. Elna refana halanu. Elna refana halanu. Restore our strength of body. Help clarify our minds. Refresh our tired spirits. Rejuvenate our light. Elna refana halanu. Elna refana halanu. Thank you for all these blessings throughout our days and nights. celebrate the journey, this precious gift of life. El na refana hala, refana halanu. El na refana hala, refana halanu. El na refana hala, refana halanu. Refana hala, refana halanu.
So, there's a lot going on. For those that are connected to our congregation, we know there's a lot going on in this synagogue. There's a lot going on after a long summer, after my own period of recovery, taking on education work in the synagogue, working with a new team and bringing us all together. There were these holy days that just wouldn't stop. I was ready for my vacation. My wife and I went to New York. We got back today. We went back to New York City, and our oldest daughter, Yael, is living in Harlem. She finished college a couple of years ago. She has this great little studio apartment about the size of this table for $2,000. And she's working in a synagogue in Westchester as a youth director in Westchester County, not far from where she lives. It's just a 20-minute train ride. And it was great. Deborah and I were excited to see Yael. We haven't seen her in some months. And there was something kind of cool for Yael to kind of show us her city, even though we're from New York. But that's okay. There was something really significant, really positive about seeing our daughter in this space. And I haven't spent real time in Manhattan like that in 25 years probably. So I've gone there for a meeting, maybe for a conference, but we spent this week with Yael, and we walked and explored museums and restaurants, and I counted up all of my steps, and my wife and daughter made me walk this week 35 miles. I don't know how I'm even standing in front of you. 35 miles. My wife says to me, the heart thing is all fixed, so let's get to work. I don't see it exactly the same way that she did, but we had this really wonderful time of going to these different places, and some of the museums we saw, we went to the Met, and there was some cool things there, and interesting little sideshows, but there was a few things that we really focused on that I haven't seen since the 1980s, and since I was there as a kid, they've all been renovated and restored to this incredible former glory. Places like Ellis Island that welcomed millions of immigrants into this country, just right next to the Statue of Liberty. And I forgot how powerful, how amazing and moving it was to see that. And this is the spot where my family entered this country, this island, and probably many of your families too. We went to the museum at Eldridge Street, which is now a National Historic Landmark. In the 1980s, I went with a religious school class. I remember seeing this old synagogue. It happened to have been the first Ashkenazi synagogue built in 1887. There were other little storefront little kind of communities, but this was the first grand Ashkenazi synagogue on the Lower East Side. And when I went in the mid-80s, it was dilapidated, it was falling apart, it was dangerous to be inside, I remember feeling. And it took them 20 years and $20 million to restore this amazing, amazing historic synagogue. But walking through these exhibits, whether it was Ellis Island or the Eldridge Street Synagogue, it was so much more than just restoration. They were telling the story of the pushes and pulls of these immigrants, of all of these different immigrants coming to New York. And it gave me a new kind of insight into my own family, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, because when I was a child, nobody wanted to talk about anything, right? It was like one of those Neil Simon productions. Anytime they had to say something, they would whisper, right? Something bad would happen, it would be a whisper. It's a little ridiculous, but going to the Eldridge Street Synagogue, now in the middle of Chinatown, it showed me the desire of these poor Eastern European immigrants to come together to be good American Jews. And going to the Tenement Museum, also, I remember from the 80s, on the Lower East Side, it reminded me of my mother's stories of not having enough food to eat. They would have sandwiches with lettuce and tomato, and that was it, right? That's all that they could afford. And how she would share a room, also like this table, with her grandmother, who only spoke Yiddish and who never ever smiled, and who was about 4'5" and like a truck. And as we process all of these different memories of these museums, these exhibits, our families, my wife's family, my family, we were thinking about how amazing our story is and how seldom people are telling it these days. And what I was talking about last week and all of the anti-Semitism that's kind of around us right now, so much of the time other people are telling us who we are without us saying, this is actually our Jewish story. And I think that was part of like the process of driving us to go back and see some of these exhibits in these places. Among millions of immigrants that came to the country at the time of the mass exodus of Jews from Eastern Europe, 30 or 40% would go back to their home countries in the early 20th century, but the Jews had no place to go. So 2% went back to Europe. Where else could they go? They had to make it here. They really had no choice. And learning more and more about this historic synagogue on Eldridge Street and its renovation and how cool it was on one level, there was something else that really struck me. They were debating, they shared in this exhibit, what to restore back to the original and did they have to make new? How do they put in a fire suppression system? And how do we put in water and heat in a building where none of that existed? So it was really interesting to see those kinds of pushes and pulls, but the one decision they made that struck me the most, they didn't change the floor. They didn't change the floor, because when you go in and you're creaking on this floor, you see that in between the benches, there's like a little dip. And on one level, somebody would say, you should really fix this floor. But think about how many thousands of people were like praying there and just sharing their hearts in between these benches with their own pleas or prayers of gratitude or concerns and worries for family that was left behind in Eastern Europe, or maybe about the illness of one of their children. This place was built in the 1880s. They didn't know how to fight bacteria the same way we do. Things were so hard for them. I can't even imagine. All I know is that these folks came from far away. They didn't want to talk about it. And once in a while, they would say something in a whisper. Nobody wanted to know that my grandfather was a boxer in Harlem. There were a lot of Jewish boxers. He apparently wasn't very good. And the other side of my family, at least, there were people like Charlie, who I really wanted to know about, but nobody would ever talk about. They would only say, Charlie the Ganef. A Ganef is a thief, right? So, like, he was one of the not-so-good apples in the family, so they would whisper. He's the one that I want to know the most about. They chose not to change those floorboards. It makes me realize something that I've been kind of yearning for, because been in Colorado now. This is my 8th year. I was in Atlanta before this for 9 years. I kind of want to retrace some footsteps. I have no footsteps out here. And I remember as a kid, my mom was a Jewish educator, and she had this book, like a picture book. The writer was Moshe Perlman, and the book was very popular in the 1970s, and it was In the Footsteps of the Prophets. This idea of walking in their footsteps, going to the land of Israel, going to the state of Israel, and walking in their footsteps, and how powerful that must be. And I haven't been walking around in New York for a really long time. So not only did I walk for 35 miles, there was a stop at Katz's Deli for a knish and pea soup, and we went to Russ and Daughters, and we got the black and whites and the babka. We met the third generation from in the Russ family. He saw my hat that had something Jewy on it, and he was like, "What's that about?" And we struck up a conversation. It turns out, this is his family's place, right? And I kept thinking about footsteps and Brody's Deli in East Meadow and places that my parents would talk about and how they all sounded the same. And how in college I worked so hard to not sound like that, right? I only sound like New York when you get me agitated. What is it about that synagogue on Eldridge Street that was magnificent and it became dilapidated, and then it experienced a restoration? I feel like in the 21st century, I'm kind of in the restoration business too. I feel like we have to reclaim on our own terms what Jewishness and Judaism could be that could fill us up, that could be meaningful and comforting, and something that could give us some inspiration, because I look out in the world and it's so chaotic, and there's so much hurt, and there are so many people with wounds that I need to try and find those footsteps again, because I need the guiding. I need to know that I'm not alone in this, and there is a sense of homecoming that I'm looking for. And I don't think that this is unique just for folks who are Jewish. I think no matter what our backgrounds are, there could be something that brings us into this homecoming space. That's really why I needed that knish. Do we know what a knish is? Do you know what a knish is? Okay, good. Otherwise, we were ending it here. Did you just say, I think? You're done. It's not your fault, it's your parents. So we're going to order knishes for the congregation. That's my new fundraiser. Everybody needs, all right. So look, whether it's back to the Lower East Side or Brooklyn or the Bronx Or maybe back to Belarus or Greece or Portugal or Morocco. We have some important stories to tell, and we have to be the ones to tell them. And I hope we can continue to find the footsteps of those who went before us and make our Judaism matter the way they had tried to. It doesn't have to be the same way, but it's part of our inheritance. And so to all of those who struggled and fought their way out of poverty, out of hateful places, out of harm's way, we thank you. We haven't forgotten you. We honor your presence here tonight as we light our candles and lift up a prayer, share a little Torah, and think about the gifts and the opportunities you've given all of us. Can you hear it, son?
On the subject of memory and retracing steps, I was moved to have this song, Tree of Life, that was written by Nefesh Mountain in honor of the tragedy that happened 4 years ago yesterday in Pittsburgh at the Tree of Life Synagogue. And the sweet souls. On the top of it, on the top of the music, it says, "In memory of the sweet souls lost in the tragic events at a Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, PA on October 27th, 2018. And if you know these words, this is really just a sweet, gentle prayer of sorrow, and I feel that some of us may be experiencing some feelings of that given the waves of anti-Semitism we've been experiencing. And this is just a gentle prayer for a healing of the divide, a coming together, a healing of the souls. And if you know it, please sing it with me. And if you don't, you can just take in the words and maybe meditate on this prayer. Oh, sweet Spirit, hear my prayer. Help these words heal someone out there. I am but a voice, just a cry in the air, but I sing nonetheless in this pain that we share. Oh, sweet friends, come and dry your eyes and hold each other by this tree of life. I'm angry and tired of this great divide, but I sing nonetheless with love on my side. Oh, sweet souls who feel broken now, we'll heal together somewhere, somehow. Time and again we have been let down, but we sing nonetheless, still whole and still proud. Oh, sweet Spirit, hear our prayer. Help these words heal someone out there.
A breath. Let's turn 586. At the bottom of the page, we'll ask you to rise if you are able, and we move to the conclusion of our service, 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא,
588.
שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגופי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפסולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
May be seated. Zichronam levracha, may their memories be a blessing. If you are observing a yahrzeit, the anniversary of one's death, or if you are in a period of mourning and want to rise for a moment, share the name of the one whom you are remembering, we invite you to do so. Go ahead. Todd. In addition to all of those names, we also remember in the period of Shloshim, those first 30 days, we remember Laura Jones, a dear friend of Emma Friedman, and those yahrzeits that we recall for this week that has passed. Susan Balin Peterson, Jane Bentley, Walter Blackie, Jerome Block, Arthur Boyer, Gussie Cohen, Paul Dixon, Stephen Friedman, Jacob Friedman, Sidney Friedman, Julia Scallop, Lily Goldman, Harold Gordon, Ruth Golden Eisenberg, Aaron Harris, Meyer Levitin, Don Hirsch, Sue Jonas, Rick Levinsky, Ida Nemirovskoya, Francis Rosenberg, Gertrude Shackett, Robert Silva, Jeff Storm, Bertha Summer, Morris Weiss, Bernard Weller, Boris Yelovich. Also want to remember those who were killed that Shabbat morning of October 27th, 2018, at the Tree of Life Synagogue. Joyce Feinberg, Richard Gottfried, Rose Mallinger, Jerry Rabinowitz, Cecil Rosenthal and David Rosenthal, Bernice Simon, Sylvan Simon, David Stein, Melvin Wax, Irving Younger. Kaddish is on 598. We stand together. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah Be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'meru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'amei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitrumam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudusha barechu le'ela min kol berachata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'miran be'alma v'meru amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'meru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'meru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, comfort to the bereaved here and everywhere. Let's all say amen. You may be seated, but not Charlie and not Evan. You two come here with me. We are going to conclude our service in a moment. I want to share a gift with these two young folk, and then afterwards we'll be so grateful if we bring our prayer books back to those carts, and we'll have a closing prayer that's in your handouts. We'll make a motzi, and then we'll have lots of refreshments that are outside in the lobby, and there's plenty of tables for you to sit in. Now, as for the two of you,
Hello.
we are excited for you. We're excited for us because you get to lead us. You two get to teach us. And we get to see you in your own way follow those footsteps that we were talking about before. That you get to follow a path. But it's not just walking in somebody else's footsteps. You get to make your own steps. And that is something that is extraordinary for us to be able to watch and witness and be inspired by. So we have these little gifts for you from our synagogue, a yad, not just to help you kind of follow along the text tomorrow and how we chant and read Torah with these yads, but also the whole idea is that there's this, a yad is a hand. And so I, for one, believe that there is this hand, and it could be the divine, it could be the holy, it could be God. It also could be these ancestors that are a part of our story, and we're a part of theirs. And it's the people who know you best and love you most. They also have these guiding hands for you, as does your congregation. So may you go and grow from strength to strength. Mazal tov to you, and we're glad that you're here with us. Good Shabbos. You can go. Take a look at the handouts.
Oh, sorry. So as we leave this evening, I thought it would be really wonderful to end with words of prayer for ourselves, for others, and for this community. So we did this at the holidays, and I know Holly used to do this, so I hope you know it, and I invite you to sing with. This first prayer is for ourselves. May I be safe. May I be free. May I find space to just be. Ken yehi ratzon, may I find my way back home. Ken yehi ratzon, may I find my way back home. Let's think of someone in our lives, someone who's been good to us, someone who brings us joy, and let's offer them up this blessing. May you be safe. May you be free. May you find space to just be. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may you find your way back home. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may you find your way back home. Let's think of someone who's a challenge for us, someone who's been difficult in our lives. And let's offer them up this blessing because they deserve blessing too. May you be safe. May you be free. May you find space to just be. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may you find your way back home. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may you find your way back home. Let's think of all that's good in this community, the people here and those in the larger part of the community, all of the Jews in Boulder, even the ones who don't come to services. It's okay. May we be safe. May we be free. May we find space to just be. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may we find our way back home. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may we find our way back home. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may we find our way back home. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may we find our way back home.
I'm hungry. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. B'te'avon, Shabbat Shalom to you. Wish your neighbors a Shabbat Shalom and come join us for our oneg. And wish these young people well, a good Shabbos and great success tomorrow.